Am I wrong for high-fiving a stranger who humiliated my boyfriend? My boyfriend and I go to the climbing gym regularly. He is really into it, and I just started climbing a few times a week. He's stupidly competitive about it and quietly insults beginners who are not as good, which makes me feel self-conscious because I'm a beginner. Last night, we were at the climbing gym again, and he was doing a V6. There was about 6 people taking turns on the problem, probably because it's a newly installed route and they were all failing. Then, a girl came and flashed it. She made it so easy, but at the end, she didn't hold the final hold for 5 seconds, and my boyfriend called her out after she was done. Holding the last hold for 5 seconds is supposed to be the right way of finishing a route, but she was doing it so easily, she definitely could have. I think he was just being salty because she didn't when he couldn't. I gave her a high five because she was walking towards me and did amazing at the problem, and knocked my boyfriend off his high horse, and she was surprised but high-fived me back. My boyfriend turned to me and gave me a what the fuck look and wouldn't talk to me the rest of the night. When we were heading home, he ranted that I couldn't be trusted to watch his back if I chose to take a stranger's side over him. I was shocked that's what he took from the climb and told him he shouldn't have nitpicked her when she clearly climbed it correctly, and he got mad and argued I was supposed to take his side over people I don't even know. If he gets this upset over something as simple as this, I don't even want to picture how he is when shit really hits the fan, so you might want to reconsider your relationship. But again, we don't know a lot. We're just taking what you're giving us. So, what a baby. I had to treat my own daughter after a car accident last night because of a drunk driver. I, 39 male, am a paramedic. I've seen some crazy as well as scary stuff working as a paramedic. Last night was for sure the worst. It was 10 p.m. getting close to the end of my shift. We got a 911 call about a car accident. When we got the call, I had a bad feeling and I didn't know why. Then when we got to the scene, I found out it was my daughter's 16 car that got hit. She was in critical condition and we had to take her ASAP. All of her vitals were low and then her heart stopped. We had to revive her. She made it to the hospital. She had 8 broken ribs, which caused a collapsed lung and broken blood vessels, causing her heart to go into sudden cardiac arrest. She also suffered a spinal injury, and doctors aren't sure if she'll be able to walk again. They put her in a medically induced coma to give her body rest. The man who hit her was driving drunk. The only injuries he suffered were a broken wrist and some bruises. It is so unfair that my sweet 16-year-old daughter, who was just on her way home from work, has to suffer when the drunk driver suffers from only minor injuries. I see it all the time and it's so unfair. I just needed to get this rant off my chest.
Am I the asshole for asking for a morning off from my baby on the weekends? My wife and I have a 6-month-old baby girl. She's mostly a stay-at-home mom. She works 2.5 days a week and her sister watches the baby. I work full-time and go to school 1 day a week. We've always had an arrangement where she takes care of the household duties, cooking, cleaning, and now baby care, while I happily support her monetarily. Honestly, we are both living our dream life, and my wife does an absolutely spectacular job taking care of me and our little one. On the weekends, we share baby duty. We usually make sure each of us gets our own alone time to do whatever we want. However, our girl has hit a bit of a sleep regression, waking up every 2 hours. And since my wife breastfeeds, she always takes care of the baby full-time overnight. She's a light sleeper and unfortunately has insomnia, whereas I am a deep sleeper and wouldn't wake up for the baby crying anyways. Recently, my wife has been asking me to wake up with the baby both days on the weekends so she can get an extra hour of sleep. Baby wakes up around 7 a.m., I get the baby dressed and take over for that hour. But sometimes I want to be the one that gets to sleep in an extra hour. I brought this up to her and she says while she's happy to let me nap during the day, she really needs that hour because she can't nap like I can. We got into an argument about it and she said I'm being very insensitive when I know she is very exhausted and can't nap during the day, and she struggles going back to sleep every time the baby wakes up. But I'm exhausted too. Work wears me out and school days are long. And I sometimes want that hour in the morning. I don't want to spend my off time napping. I want to play video games and chill out. I've gotten mixed opinions on who is in the wrong here or if there even is anyone in the wrong. Am I the asshole for asking us to share mornings off for sleep?
I would say, to be fair, if you both find it difficult and this is becoming a real problem, take turns. Rotate your week. Second and fourth weekend is you, and the one, third and fifth weekend, if there's a fifth, is her, or vice versa. You guys need to be able to share this thing totally. And I understand, look, she's up every morning dealing with this thing 5 days a week. My first gut feeling was, do it on the weekends? Suck it up, dude. Do it.
So you talk about sharing the burden. How are they going to share the burden if she's waking up every 2 hours at night because the baby needs to breastfeed?
I can't, I'm trying to wonder why she's not pumping and letting him wake up and do it.
Some people can't pump. Some people don't produce enough while pumping.
Because I know when it came to you, we had pumped milk and it was easy. I mean, I had no problem at all. In fact, I used to love waking up in the night and taking care of you at night when you would, cry. I was the first one out, to your room to go change you when you were wet. And I was the first one to tend to you. I was so excited about being this new dad. I don't know what his gig is. And I work and I definitely work. I would get up in the morning. I was at work at 6 a.m. I had a factory. I had people, but I was always on it for you. And I never complained about it because I loved it. So that's my first thing is suck it up, dude. Go help your wife. But if in the event that there has to be some kind of compromise every other week.
I'm the asshole for telling my wife it was a mistake to stay at the baby shower. So my wife, 26 female, and I, 28 male, have been married for a year and began trying to conceive in September. No luck so far, but the doctor did say at our first appointment that it typically takes close to a year for most couples to conceive. She's been telling people that she's infertile, which isn't true. Doctor said she isn't. My wife and I went to my work Christmas party in mid-December, where my wife met my coworker's wife. Let's call her Mary, and they took a liking to each other. Mary was pregnant and invited my wife to her baby shower, which was yesterday, and my wife sounded so excited to go. I asked her when we were alone if she thinks she'll be fine. I know my wife, and I know what typically bothers her. I know she wouldn't bask in happiness over someone else's pregnancy, so I urged her to think it through. She said she's fine, and she was excited, so she went. The baby shower was yesterday. About 40 minutes in, she calls me and asked me to come. I was at a cafe nearby because I knew she wouldn't stay long. I find her at the entrance of the house crying, and a bunch of women consoling her. When she saw me, she came to me and pulled me to the garden to talk. She said she was dancing and looked at Mary's pregnant belly and couldn't take it anymore, started crying and ran out. All of Mary's friends followed her out to console her. I consoled her myself and said, "Okay, let's go, babe. What do you want to go do? We can go for a drive so you can feel better." She looked at me weird and asked why she would leave. I asked, why would she stay? She said,
"'Cause I'm getting attention."
She said she feels better now and can go have a good time. I sighed and said, "Babe, you know that's not going to happen. And I doubt the attention will be on Mary after this, and that's not great. It's her baby shower, and she deserves to be celebrated. I can't see how people are going to shift their focus from consoling you to celebrating her if you're still here." She rolled her eyes at me and said she was going back in and that I could leave. 3 hours later, the party was nearing its end, so I go back to pick her up. My coworker and I stepped into the house, and lo and behold, everyone is sitting in a circle with my wife being the center of attention.
Oh, God.
Coworker looked for his wife, and she wasn't there at all. He called her and she said she had left ages ago. My wife and I entered the car, and I first asked her how she was feeling, and we spoke about it for a few minutes. I then asked her what happened and why Mary left. She said, "Oh crap, Mary, I forgot to say bye to her." I told her Mary left ages ago. I then said, "I know you're going through a hard time, but why on earth would you and her friends do this? If they consoled you for a few minutes, that's fine. But the entire party, we really should have left earlier." She looked at me so offended and said, "Are you Mary's husband or mine?" We stared at each other for a while and just drove home in silence. I told her I want to talk to her this morning to sort things out, but she ignored me and left the house.
Oh.
Are you so uncomfortable letting other people have just a moment of recognition and happiness and center of attentionness?
Well, you know what I don't understand is how can you not feel bad about that?
Am I the asshole for leaving my girlfriend stranded and making her miss all of her classes? So my 22 female partner, 23 female, and I are both in college and live together in an off-campus apartment. I own a car, but she doesn't, so I drive us both to campus every day in time for my 9 a.m. class. The issue is she's never ready to leave on time, so we're always late by 5 to 10 minutes. I've communicated this to her many times, and she said she'll try harder. In the past 2 weeks, however, she's been making us over 15 minutes late. And you guys, I've tried everything to help her, helping her pick out an outfit, making her breakfast, everything. But nothing works, so on to the incident. Am I the asshole for leaving my girlfriend stranded and making her miss all of her classes? Yesterday, she wasn't ready to leave until 8:55 a.m. and my class is at 9. I gave her an ultimatum. Either she's ready to leave by 8:40 tomorrow or I won't be driving her. I said that I wasn't mad and I can see her trying, but I have a difficult test tomorrow at 9. Well, this morning she wasn't dressed at 8:40 and at this point I was really frustrated. At 8:45 I said I was leaving and she said she needed a couple minutes. I told her I was leaving if she wasn't out by 8:50 and at 8:52 I drove off. She called me crying and apologizing and said she had no way of getting to school and she was going to miss her shift.